John P. Reed, in the poem Gift from God, wrote, "Love can't be described. It has no shape. It has no form. Love is not an object. Love does not conform." Have you ever been in love? Have you ever found yourself yearning for a love that in many ways was forbidden for different reasons? Our podcast today is here to talk about one such instance. Two stories with completely different ends and yet all about love. Hello, this is Catherine Abraham and you're with me on a new episode of Chasing Hope. A couple of days ago, a friend was going through a nasty divorce. The normally cheerful voice had been replaced completely by a restrained tone, one that was constantly anxious and worried about the future. My friend, let's call him Arhan for now, had been through a bitter breakup when his parents encouraged him to get married so that he would feel better. One thing led to another, and he was soon married in a ceremony that spelled grandiose luxury and status. A few months later, when we all met up, given that we all caught busy schedules, all expected him to turn up with his wife, cheerful and happy, and here he was, with a long face, a listless look, and alone. As all good friends would, we tried to ask him the point of coercion, but he wouldn't speak. We left it at that. A few months later, we were told that he was getting a divorce. The possibly seeming issues that come with divorce are social stigma, the unwillingness to be a part of social circles, and even disengaging from one's own family. Many times, young people feel so hemmed in with the overburdening of societal pressures that they just prefer to get out of the entire family setup altogether. Take Siddharth, for example. The one woman he loved and was ready to sacrifice his wealth and even his life for had him honey trapped, left him penniless as she took off with his property papers and his money. What was his crime? He trusted. Now, the thing about love is that without trust, it is incomplete. Every time we say we love or we have fallen in love, we do realize that we may also fall out of love. But should we trust, then that trust, if it is broken, the damage is far deeper than just a heart broken. A philosopher once wrote, "Feelings are temporary." But before we can decimate this, we must learn about a story from the Bible. The story of a very strong and powerful young man named Samson. Now, Samson is said to have had the strength of 10 men and was resilient enough to fight any wild beast of the day. The story goes that when he was born, his parents were advised that he must never cut his hair, for if he did, he would lose his strength. Now here's the thing. Samson was honey trapped by the enemy, the Philistines, with the help of a woman. This woman was named Delilah. Samson was in many ways besotted by the woman and ensured that he did exactly what she told him. He loved her genuinely, but she wasn't there to love him or take care of him as a worthy life partner should. She was there to have him killed. The story goes on to tell us how Delilah finally, after repeated attempts, won his trust and found the secret of Samson's strength. She chopped off his hair as he slept and made sure that he was held captive by his enemies. What a glowing sense of betrayal Samson would have felt. The woman he had loved heart, mind, and soul, despite knowing that she came from the enemy's yard, and still, instead of proving him and his love right, she had gone and done exactly what no one would have wanted her to do. What do you think, my friends? Should we then stop trusting altogether? Let's look at our next story for today. The story of King David, who has made an appearance in one of our segments too. Now, if one reads the Bible carefully, we are told that David was a man after God's own heart. He started off as a young shepherd boy and then went on to become the king. God loved him dearly and entrusted him with this kingship. Now, when David had everything, you may ask, what is it that he did not have? Money? No, he had it in plenty. Power? God had ensured that people listened to every word. Authority? He was king. Why then, just why, did he have to fall for a woman already betrothed to another? One of the main underlying themes of the Bible is the fact that it talks about human limitations, human challenges, and how we can overcome them. David knew that Bathsheba was already married, and yet he cast his eye on her, made sure that he killed her husband Uriah just so that he could marry her. Now, both David and Samson were victims. They were victims of what? Of their own trust. They trusted people who didn't deserve their trust. But here's the thing. They were both victims also of their own weakness. When God is for us, after all, who can be against us? But let's not forget that with this comes the caveat that when we are given our power and freedom of choice, God is giving us that power along with the power of discernment. So when we look at it, we realize that David and Samson were victims of their own choices. Choices they had made consciously. It was David's duty to have immediately withdrawn once he knew Bathsheba was married. But he didn't. Even Bathsheba had a choice to make. What was the maximum that would have happened had she refused the king's advances? She would have been killed, or better still, she would have earned his respect. Instead, she chose to become complacent. She didn't trust that God would help her in this difficult time and decided that it was safer to be married to a king than to be killed at his hand. What about Samson then? He loved the woman deeply. What was his mistake? Again, his mistake, very much like David's, was to not trust God and keep quiet, but rather fall for a woman he knew fully could well damage his reputation and life. Perhaps had both men made conscious decisions to repair their errors immediately, they would still have found favor with God. But they went on to trust their own wisdom, and that landed them in deep trouble. The Christian faith is vociferous on its stand for monogamy. The reason is simple. When we love someone, we accept them as a part of our lives. We go forward and allow that person to be with us, help us, and give us a major reason to be faithful to them. Being faithful to our partner's demands causes a certain amount of restraint. It is so easy to fall for temptation and say, well, I tried to be a better person, but it didn't happen. No, my friends. Whether it was my friend Arhan, whether it is David, Samson, or for that matter any other human being on the planet, we are made with the understanding that we are there to help build lives And one important part of building someone else's life is to be a part of their lives and help them see the truth, see the light, and keep the faith. When we find ourselves inching towards temptation, we need to ask ourselves what took us to that point. Lives are made when love is a part of it, but trust and love make for great partners. And hence, it is important that as we sojourn through life, we make a commitment, a lifetime commitment that we are going to be faithful to the very end. Someone very recently said it. No one gets into a marriage with the idea of getting out of it. Why then do we become weak? Why then do we give up on our better halves? Is there any other way of circumventing painful processes like divorce? Yes, there are. But we should be willing to take that plunge and the leap of faith before we get into something as deep and painful as this. David and Samson had different lives, perhaps, but they were both, again, victims of love. They made their mistakes, whether kings or commoners, of the past and present. All of them were the same and continue to be the same. We make mistakes, we choose our path, and then we find it difficult to carry on. It's easy to fall in love, but it's easier to stay faithful. And had David chosen to just drop the idea of Bathsheba, had Samson listened to his parents and gone ahead and dropped the idea of Delilah, perhaps they could have achieved far more than they did. God plays in our lives, but also allows us to make independent choices, very much like our earthly parents. On planet Earth, 18 years is generally considered as the age for turning an adult, after which, well, you're on your own. The point is that when we get this freedom, how do we use it? In what way do we use it? That makes all the difference. So when we make a commitment, we need to stick to it. We need to find a way to be together, even if times are troublesome, painful, because we made that choice and we need to stick to it. This does not mean that we are condoning abusive relationships, domestic violence. No. Those are completely different facets and they need an entire episode for them. But what I'm trying to say is, look at the bigger picture. If all that was between you and your partner is just a matter of maybe misunderstandings created by you or someone else, try and work around it. Give them your time. Time is the greatest healer. And when we gift our time, we are gifting ourselves far more than when we committed to be with this person for a lifetime. So my friends, if you have enjoyed this episode, please get in touch. We are available on Twitter, Facebook, and we also have our website. You can go ahead and check out on all the older episodes. If you have a prayer request, write in to us. If you have a suggestion, please make sure that you've sent us an email. And most importantly, if there's anything you want covered on Chasing Hope, please let us know and we will make it a point to incorporate it in one of our subsequent episodes. Thank you for tuning in and I look forward to seeing you soon.